Hey y'all, it is the 30th now of March, and I'm back to spend a few minutes with you. Got a couple things I need to take care of. For some reason, I'm experiencing some restrictions on my Facebook page. I don't know why. They don't tell you something about community standards, and all I do is, talk about music and complain about politics and use the F bomb every now and then. I have no idea what it's about. So, just mentioning that and just the absurdity of it. It's like our community standards, their community standards are making the standard of life much worse in reality. With that in mind, my friend Nick is checking out metaverse stuff. He has the VR headset, and he tells me I need to check it out, and I will. But where the metaverse is headed, most likely, I don't like. People already living inside of their heads. People trapped inside of their own realities with these goggles on. It's probably already happening. You've seen some stuff like that in movies. I'm certain there's rich people already who are lost because they're so rich and they can do it. Anyway, so for those of you folks who are new to me, and apparently there's new folks all the time, I'm in Omaha, Nebraska. I've been doing this for over 10 years. I'm a huge music lover and music fan, but I'm also a musician. And I make music and have been for a long time. And I'm one of those folks who has taken advantage of the technology where now anyone can do it in the comfort of your home. And so I've been doing that. I've been making records from my home for many years now. And for those who don't know, this is my latest album. This is my latest album. Let me show another, okay? Let me show a couple so you know. This is my latest album, Future Still, came out in 2021 on the FPE Records label out of Chicago. Still real proud of this album. It's still available. Flyover is another album I put out on my own label, DBH Recordings. And another album I put out is Dereck 2. I have more albums than this, but I thought I'd show these. That's my sister Stephanie and my nephew Kareem. Some of you who saw Kareem last year when he came to stay with me when my brother passed away, that's him. That big, tall guy, that's him. And his mom. I'm bringing this up because I want to just, I need to do some promotion right quick. So, several things at one time. Bandcamp has been bought by a larger company, some gaming company. Smaller companies being swallowed by larger companies, generally speaking, is not good for the individual. So I'm on Bandcamp, and Bandcamp's been good to me for several years. It's been a good platform for sharing my music. I use others like SoundCloud and Reverb Nation. I was on MySpace for years. But Bandcamp's been real easy to access. And when COVID hit, they did the Bandcamp Fridays for almost a year, then they stopped. Then last month they brought it back, but I don't know if they're doing it this month. I haven't gotten a message. Even if they don't, I'm going to use this first Friday of April to release some new music, a 4-track EP extended play digitally. I've shared some of the music in videos in the last few months that I've been working on it. So I'm going to share 4 new songs, and when I make releases, even just digitally, I always mock up a physical copy for myself. So I'm about to release this, Personal Power, a new 4-track EP. And that cover is another bit of art that was sent to me by artist-musician Don Campow, who I've never met, but I vibe with. And this is his art for my album here. And he sent me several pieces when I asked to use his art for my album. And this is another one of the pieces that he sent. So I let him know, I'm going to use another one of those pieces that you sent me, Don. Thank you. I'm calling this EP Personal Power because that's what this music does for me. It is personally empowering to make it, and it's also, frankly, very empowering to listen to it. And I love these tracks. The opening track on it, I'm not going to play it. You'll be able to hear it online Friday. You can stream it, even if you don't want to buy it. You can listen to it. But the first track is dedicated to the memory of my brother Patrick, who passed away last summer. Still hurts a lot. But and then I decided to call it Personal Power based on also on what I'm feeling and a message I'm trying to share, along with sharing my enthusiasm for music here on my channel. I really do want to encourage people to love themselves and to invest more in yourselves and how you see yourselves. Increase your personal power. Don't let others take advantage of you. If you're the sort of person who has been taking advantage of others and being manipulative, you really need to stop and balance your power out. So this Friday, another thing is that this is another way that you can show me support, because I'm not doing that Patreon shit. If you'd like to show me some financial support this Friday, buy this new digital single, Personal Power, that I'm about to release. I really like it. One more thing about that, then I'll talk some of the records. I worked on adding some real instruments. I work in the MIDI domain. A lot of information I want to share. And I was working on adding some real-time instruments to these tracks, and I didn't like it. It's like, this is not, I like this sound, and it also has the feeling. Adding these real instruments isn't adding any feeling for me. The message is already there, so I don't need to do this to prove to someone that, because some people are really still hung up on that, and I think it's bullshit. That's why I brought up I do watch a lot of information about music, folks, so don't get sore about the fact that I'm not interested in your links, because most of them I really have already been there. I really have. And so in the drum and bass and electronic music features I was watching last night, people were talking about that. It's like, well, this music couldn't exist without technology. And it's very valid, You couldn't play piano music before they made pianos, etc., etc. So this whole idea that it has to be real instruments and stuff, it's just bullshit. And that's just a head trip, This music is very powerful. I hear this stuff and I play other music, then I come back to it because I want to hear it. And it lifts me up. It's some of the best music that I'm hearing these days, what I'm making. It's a very empowering feeling. And the other thing about it is that it doesn't matter, ultimately, if anyone else feels it. I'm sharing it with you and hope you feel it, but I feel it. And I appreciate it very much. Music, right quick. Played this last night. Brian Eno with Kevin Shields, The Weight of History. Only Once Away, My Son. 12-inch single that they made, and it just really works. It's audio bath, and if that's Kevin Shields singing, it's got a cool voice. You don't really hear it on My Bloody Valentine records, clearly. And this is not a typical sounding Eno record at all. It's really good. The Enid, one of those symphonic prog bands that are just kind of on the edge of being a little too treacly. This is called The Spell. Musically, I like this quite a bit. Some of the storyline and the vocals are just, they make me cringe. It's like, that's just honest. The music is great, though. Okay. I tried to play this last night. This was sent to me. This man is highly regarded in his country. Zeslon Niemen. Niemen Enigmatic. It's very, very soulful and emotional. And that's something I appreciate having, but I wasn't getting into it to listen to. But its significance and his significance to his country and their history of music is something is important to me, and I respect it. And so this is sort of thing that I forget who sent this to me. That's a definite keeper. Here's one I pulled thinking, is this going to stay or not? Night Arc Picture. And this is a album by these musicians who are playing oud. Oud is like the Portuguese mandolin and the oud, and another thing called the cumbas. These instruments are the feature, and this is really nice. I wasn't sure what I was going to hear, because when I bought this, it was like when I bought a bunch of records one time. This is beautiful. No vocals. There's a kind of a folkness to it, but also an ambience as well. Night Arc Picture. This was a surprise, actually, on the Novice label. Remember when this label was, RCA was trying to jump on the new age bandwagon and new jazz with this label? This is a good one. Old pop band that jumped on the psychedelic bandwagon to make some money. Underground Sunshine. I remember when they had their version of Birthday by the Beatles was minor hit for some reasons, because it's not a good version, actually. But this album, they do a lot of covers, and I think the covers are really pretty crap until you get to the very last song, Take Me, Break Me, 11 minutes. It's psychedelic, and it's a little weird, and that's partly what was cool about psychedelia and the whole 60s coming out of, birthing of youth movement and new expressions. This is weird shit came out. Kind of a smaller label you don't see too often. Intrepid. So I enjoyed this, though. I did. The parts of it were like, oh my god. And then like I said, the last track is real groovy. John Fox with the original Ultravox. Loved him. So Slow Motion is still a standout track by them. I dare say I think that the track has been more influential on musicians than to the audience. It's, in my mind, it's a classic song of its time. Late 70s, early 80s is when this all was happening. And there's other good songs on here. This is a compilation of stuff before Midge Uri joined the band. But Slow Motion is a real standout track. Super strong. Bill Fay is a singer-songwriter who made some albums in the 70s, disappeared. For some reason, this album, in order to get an original of it, you're going to pay over $1,000. I still don't understand why. But years ago, I picked up this reissue of it, which now is getting to be collectible. And there's a spiritual, slightly religious aspect to some of the lyrics on here. But then it's the way that it's related to the personal journey of discovery that I can relate to, on top of the fact that the music is killer, just excellent, and it's almost sounds contemporary, like it was made just this year. Elements of jazz, rock, and just good music on here. Another musician who I befriended online, and we talk, and he gets a hold of me. This means a lot to me personally, to be in touch with and get messages from these musicians who have enriched my life so much. Ray Russell, the guitarist on here, who is a well-known session guitarist, Ray Russell, he's a friend of mine. And he'll just pop up and say, hey, what's going on? And we'll chit-chat about some madness in the world. That means a lot to me. He's on this album and plays a notable electric guitar solo on a couple tracks on here. Bill Fay. If you don't know, find out. Here's an example of old electronic music that was supposed to be the music of the future that sounds dated and old, you know. But thank goodness these people did these experiments to bring us where we are. This is a fellow named Michael Czajkowski. People, the Sky, created on the Buchla synthesizer, which is a particular type of modular synthesizer. And what is notable on this album is the explorations with arpeggiation, which is just a real standard thing that we do with synthesizers, using the arpeggiator. And this is kind of cool, but it gets old because they're just going through permutations. You know, well, if I turn it a little more like this, it'll do that, turn it more like this. You know, and being a person who works in synthesizer, I can hear that that's what's going on. So it's cool, but it's a keeper. That's one I keep. That's the sort of thing that belongs in my collection. This is a reflection of my world. I forget, I think the artist sent this to me years ago, and I've never heard anything about this since. Cyanosis. You know, I love obscure, interesting stuff like this. Now, when I first got this, I found it a little annoying at first. What we have here, Cyanosis 4, number 4 movie. What we have here is someone playing real instruments, but they've done a cut-up. They've done cut-ups. Okay? Not so much sampling as cut-ups. It literally sounds like a bunch of cuts have been made in the tapes rather randomly. That's what it sounds. The first track in particular is quite annoying. The second track is less, but it's still kind of like, I don't know what the purpose of this was, and it's just strange. But once again, this is one of those kind of things like, yeah, this stuff is cool. I can hang on to stuff like that. Okay? Couple more things down here and I'm done. Another album that I pulled thinking it might be ready to go. Brio, the Ray. Some jazz players, not big names. The one name, a couple names you might know on here. Mick Goodrick. I think he played with Pat Metheny for a while. And then Jeff Williams on drums. He's done some cool stuff. He's on that record Friends with John Abercrombie and Mark Cohen. So this is not light, and this is not coffee table jazz. This is a real good date. Good playing, good writing. Jerry Bergonzi is the protagonist of this. He's a good player, not a fantastic player, but this is very good. And I was like, oh, damn, that's a good album. Yeah, that's a keeper. And then just for pleasure, I played this a few times yesterday. Czajkowski of Can, one of his projects with Bernd Friedman, Cyclopean. And General Podmore and Ermin Schmidt from Can is on here. This is just to die for me. This is killer. Particularly Fingers, the track Fingers. I can just play it over and over again. This is, oh man, this is just too cool. The rhythmic things going on and the sonic things going on. The simplicity, seeming simplicity of what Czajkowski is doing rhythmically makes it so trance-like and hypnotic. It's fantastic. Okay, we're running on 20 minutes. I'll do one poll today and I'm out of here because, like I said, I really want to turn you on to my music. This is coming out Friday. It's very good. I've already listened to those songs over 100 times easily because I like it so much. Okay, down here was interesting. So let's go back further into the corner and see what we get down here. Oh boy. Don't make a mess, Dereck. Don't make a mess. Okay, this one's, oh shit. Okay, two. When I hear that split, it's like, man, I need to get change a bunch of these old Blake sleeves because they've worn out their welcome. So, I kind of knew that this is that area that I'd be in. Wes Montgomery, greatest hits. So I've got quite a few Wes Montgomery albums. You know about Wes Montgomery, Going Out of My Head. He didn't use a pick. And such a beautiful sense of melody. And just a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous player. Okay, folks. Hope you all are doing well. And stay in touch.